And we are live. Welcome, welcome to day 19 of 21 days. Oh my God, I'm so off. Welcome to day 20 of 21 days of soul healing. We're almost there. And today I will be talking to you about limiting beliefs and how that keeps us stuck and how we got to this place in the first place, right? Everything that is happening in the world right now. And I have a big surprise for you. I have one of my dear friends and mentors and motivational speaker, an awesome, awesome, awesome human beings, very high vibrational, Mr. Rodney Allgood. Woo!
I'm glad to be here. This is going to be fun. Thank you for having me, Veronica.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're actually my first guest on the 21 days of soul healing. So far, they only had me. So, like, people are tired of
How
me. Like,
cool is that? How special am I? I love it. I caught you right before the last day, right?
yes, yes, tomorrow is the last day. Big
All
time
right.
for celebration.
I've made the
So
big time. I love it.
I thought, who is a better person to give us some nuggets, some wisdom on the core beliefs that we have from the moment that we were born, from our families, from
Hmm.
schools, from media, from society, that keeps us in this little box, that gives us somehow this illusion, this permission to judge people, criticize them because they think or believe something differently. And before I hand it to you, I want you to really see the word belief and realize that right in the middle of it, there is a lie.
Hmm.
I take it off to you.
Yes, yes, yes. Everyone's indoctrinated with something at a young age. The template in which we see the world is formed before we're 8 or 9 years old. Before that we don't have a filter, right? So whatever adults tell us is the truth, right? And if we don't consciously work at it, we look through those lenses for the rest of our lives. We see the world through those lenses. And especially now with so much going on in the world, and people being so opinionated, we live in a world that's so divisive without people understanding that their particular perspective has everything to do with what they were raised to believe, the environment they were in as young people, things that they were fed by the authority figures in their life, and all kinds of things. So it's very important to understand that certain perspectives need to grow with us. And a lot of times our lives become out of alignment because what we consciously want to believe, the life we're consciously trying to live, is out of alignment with how we're wired to live. And sometimes when you have that conflict between your conscious and self-conscious, you end up sabotaging yourself in life. And that's a frustration that so many people feel. And they face a lot of self-judgment, and they tend to judge other people who do not believe as they do. But there's this conflict all over the place. And I'm glad we're talking about this because this is such a problem today.
I know, and I've been loving your speeches, like your videos in the whole 2020, everything, all the controversy that was happening, like your point of view was so, how do I say this? You're so aware of both sides of the coin that when you are in that space, you can't judge.
Right,
And that's what I want a lot of people to truly understand, that we're more alike than we
right,
think. And focusing on something that we truly believe that is nothing but our subjective opinion, and
right.
allowing that to break relationships with friends, with family members, with loved ones. You see wars on social media all the time, talking about misalignment of body, mind, and soul, right? And your speeches have been so close to my heart. I love listening to you because you have lifetimes of wisdom that I can learn from.
There's worthiness in different points of view. And we don't grow by just rooting ourselves deeper in our beliefs. We don't grow by simply defending what we already believe. We grow by understanding things we weren't exposed to. So it's far more powerful to ask good questions, to understand why a person sees the world the way they do, than to simply stand on what we already believe. And we see this so much in social media today where people are just fighting for what they already believe, just trying to shove that down another person's throat. There's more growth in understanding why someone sees the world differently than you. And we could see the worthiness with their point of view. It doesn't mean we have to agree entirely with their point of view, but we get an understanding for why they see what they see. We get an understanding for their experience of the world, where they got their perspective and paradigms from, and that rounds us off. It makes us understand each other. And the more we understand each other, we get back to the point of what you were saying. We will see that we have more in common than we have not in common. And the world needs this so much now. We need to start looking at that. We need to start uniting. We need to start seeing what we share, not where we differ as much. And then where we differ might start to make sense to each other because we're learning about each other.
Thank you for sharing that. And as you're speaking, the question that popped into my mind that I wanted to ask is that a lot of thought leaders, obviously, we weren't born this way. We had to undergo a lot of transformation to get to this point. So, my question to you is, what was the belief that completely shifted your life? What was the turning point that you picked up a new belief and then everything just went spiral from that point on? What was that
Well,
belief?
I was raised in a very religious household, very strict religion, very, in my opinion, kind of cult-like religion, and that was my family's belief, and that was what I was indoctrinated in as a young boy, and
Hmm.
I allowed myself to question that. I allowed myself to understand that that was my parents' journey. Whatever way that served them, it's not for me to judge them as being right or wrong. It might have served them. For a lot of people, those kinds of things save them, saves them from going down the wrong road, or it saves them from, feeling so lost in life because it gives them structure. So that may have served my parents, but it doesn't mean it's my truth. So I allowed myself to question things and to honor my journey, which expanded beyond that belief system. And it was hard because it was such a strict, really hardwired way of thinking. But knowing that that was my parents' path, it served
Yeah.
them. And again, if I'm not going to put my opinion on my parents, I have to honor their journey. This served you. I understand why you wanted to inculcate me with this, but now I am my own man. And for me, my truth is something you cannot question, cannot be trusted. I live with that truth. They're allowed to live with their truth. So, in that truth, I question everything. It allows me to wipe the chalkboard clean, to look at different perspectives, to analyze different beliefs, and see what resonates with me, and not worry about what anybody else thinks because this is my particular journey.
Right. And it's interesting because having the more limiting beliefs we have, the more we are
Mhm.
searching for people that we can put in this little box. And I get questions like all the time: are you vegan? Are you this? Are you that? Do you go for Trump? Go for Biden? And I'm like, none of those answers are truly going to give you a good answer of who I am as a person. Like, beliefs, they constantly change, and hopefully you can grow every day to break those invisible jail. I call it jail, it's literally a
Mhm.
mental jail, where you can be like, okay, I have this belief. If yours is opposite, I want to hear your point of view. Let me know how I can broaden mine, and maybe if we put the two of them together, we can create something that is bigger than the sum of two, versus me throwing, snow where something
Yeah.
at you because you are different than me,
And I think
right?
a
Like,
lot of times, yeah, I think a lot of times the misalignment people feel is they're feeling a need to cling to what their belief, what their inculcated belief was, and the space between that and what their true calling was, or what
mm,
their life purpose is. And when it's misaligned, it's a very frustrating place to be. And that's why a lot of people feel like, I don't know who I am. That's one of the questions I get asked the most as a coach. I don't know who I am.
Hmm.
A lot of times it's because you're trying to maintain to something that you were indoctrinated with about whatever it is in life and what is coming from inside of you. They're misaligned. And it's really important to allow yourself to grow. I have a poem for you. This is the first
Oh,
poem I wrote when I was dealing with all this stuff. For me, it had to do with religion. And it just came to me one night. It's called Free. It goes like this: raised in beliefs that were not mine, a detachment from my true self showed over time. A lie I lived for so very long, never understanding my truth about what's right and wrong. Like a chameleon, I would change my colors at will, so the people I love would love me back still. But is it true love if you take it away because something called truth is not seen the same way? You see, we all have the power to use our own minds and seek understanding that we all wish to find. This journey, it's mine, it belongs to no other, no brother, no sister, no father or mother. See, I was created unique and like no one else, but my talents and gifts were then put on the shelf. But now it's time to break free from these chains and shatter the bondages this is out of my brain. Now I finally am free. I can soar to the sky, for I was created in the image of the one who's most high.
wow, that was so beautiful. Like I want to cry. So beautiful.
Mhm.
I love listening to your speeches because there's like you have such a old soul, and when you speak, like it breaks through that conscious mind. You're like, I feel it. Like you
Mm.
have such a gentle and a beautiful way of seeing the true power in people, and meeting them where they are and also bringing them up. Like you're such an amazing coach. I love it.
Yeah, it's really important to know what you said, right? Feeling when you really get in alignment, then in my belief, again, everyone's free to have their belief, but in my belief, you line up with source. You line up where things we start to flow for you. You know when it feels right. Poems
Hmm.
come to me. I don't sit down and try to write poems. They come through me because I'm now in alignment. I didn't know I was a poet till I was 45 years old
What?
because I was out of alignment. But once I got in alignment, I start channeling these poems all the time. As a motivational speaker, I've never written a speech in my life. I don't know what I'm going to say when I'm walking to the stage. When they say my name, I just trust that it comes because I'm in alignment, and what's going to
Yeah.
come is going to come. And everyone has their gift, everyone has their truth. And that's why we can't judge perspectives because everyone has their truth. And when they're in alignment, it comes through them, through who they are in their particular way. And we grow much more by learning what's shared through a person because it's coming through them in a way it wouldn't come through you. But me just standing firm, thinking that I'm right, again,
Mm,
believe has the word lie in it, thinking that I'm right, holds me back from any kind of growth
yeah.
because I can only grow by learning things I do not know.
Always be a student, never be a wise teacher. Always be a student. It's
Mhm.
funny that you mentioned something before that aligned with my life mantra, and I share that with my clients a lot, is listen to everyone, question everything, and choose what empowers you.
Mhm.
And oftentimes, when I'm asked, what do you believe about this? What do you believe about that? Then I stay away from controversial subjects because my opinion is subjective
Right.
and it's mine. I don't want to fight for it, I don't want to impose it on anybody. What I do always encourage is whatever belief that somebody, where you pick it up from, whatever the society, media, anything that you come across, if that belief doesn't empower you to feel happy, to feel good, to feel joyful, to be healthy, I empower you to question that belief.
Yes.
And I'm not going to point finger at anything, but always question a belief that doesn't empower your happiness. Because ultimately, what is the point in life if there's no happiness, if there's no joy, if there's no love? So choose beliefs that are aligned with your true self.
And you said something interesting. You used the word love.
Hmm.
And if we can make that our foundation, if love can be our foundation for which we look through, if love becomes the lenses that colors what we see, we will see very different things. If love is the lenses that we look through, then we will see what's in common. Then we will wish to connect with people. Then we will wish to unify with people. Right now, we live in a very divisive age. People are pulled apart. People are against each other. Like you said earlier, people are losing friends on social media and losing friends in real life because of a difference of opinion about things like politics. But if they were looking through the lenses of love, you wouldn't do things that are going to offend half your friends. You wouldn't say if everybody who likes this person or supports this candidate or has this point of view is stupid, has
Yeah.
no sense, is racist, whatever it is, because you're offending friends of yours. You're offending people that you don't need to offend, and now you've lost any kind of influence on that person instead of just honoring that they had a different experience and they see things differently. And maybe that's something we don't need to talk about. Maybe that's something that we'll just agree to disagree about that and move on, because there's so many things that you could connect on. Why
Yeah.
am I going to try to convince somebody of something they're not open to be convinced otherwise, right? They say a person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. You cannot
Mm.
convince a person that's not opening to listening to what you have to say. So why go there? I never see on social media where people just flip their mind and oh, okay, you're right. I'll just change my mind about all of that. Right? A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. So just understand that you see that thing differently. Understand that some people are short, some people are tall. We're not supposed to think the same. That's what makes us human. If we're
Yeah.
supposed to act and think the same way, we be like, the animal kingdom. We have the ability to see things differently, and that is a strength, not a weakness. Not about right and wrong. It's just perspectives and paradigms.
Absolutely. Well, think if we lived in a world where we didn't question each other,
Mhm.
right? If somebody would get on and be like, okay, this is how the world works, and everybody would accept it, how can we evolve as species? How can we go to the next level,
We'd still be
right?
cavemen. We still be cavemen because, I mean, progress normally entails doing something that's impossible, something that you shouldn't do, something that's what progress hinges on. And if we
Mm-hmm.
did not use our free thought, we'd be like the animal kingdom. So it's okay. And you will find it's better to look for the truth in something you disagree with. Maybe the premise of it, maybe the point of view is not something that aligns with you, but there
Mm-hmm.
is truth within it. If there wasn't, so many people wouldn't believe that. There's truth in it.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
give you an example. Let me give you an example. A few months ago, a lot of the racial things were hot, right? There was a lot of racial discussion, and blacks and whites have very different viewpoints about race. Not all everyone, but a lot of people have very different viewpoints on it because of their different experiences. Now, sometimes it'd be maybe a video of a police brutality thing where somebody's running away from the cops, and cops get them and they beat them up, they rough them up.
Mm-hmm.
And one segment of people might say, you know what? If you don't run from the cops, that won't happen.
Hmm.
I, I understand why they say that because there's truth in that. If you don't run away from the cops, there's less chance of you getting beat up. Then another group of people will say it doesn't matter what you do. Sometimes it's just the color of your skin that gets you in trouble. That's also true. Okay. Now, I've been on both sides of that. I've had cops be very nice to me because I was very respectful, and it could have gotten ugly, but I'm very respectful. So, yes, that is true. I've also been discriminated against when I was young for no reason at all. I had a cop pull a gun on me and pointed at me for no reason. So both things can be true at the same time. It's not an either or. Hey, be respectful to authority. Your life will be better if you do that. True. There are unfair things in the world that still persist that might just happen for the color of your skin. True. There's truth in both things. It doesn't have to be an either or. So I understand why you say that. I got it. There's truth in that. It's not
Mm-hmm.
the whole truth, but there's truth in that. I'm going to agree with you on that. On the point that yes, behave yourselves. There's truth here. I'm going to agree with that. But there's also truth there. See both sides, and you'll have a conversation where people actually grow. And that's one thing about communicating. When you have differences, one big thing that I always do when I'm communicating about the subject, and you see me do it, is I give some credit to both sides. I will say this, but I will say, I get what you're saying. There's truth here. And this is why this is true. I get what you're saying. There's truth here. And now we can have a discussion because both sides feel honored. And now both people are open to hearing a bigger discussion.
I want to mention something because one core thing about belief, right? We constantly have thoughts, and we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts. We repeat about 95% of the same thoughts. When we repeat those thoughts and we add an emotion to it, that forms a belief,
Mm.
right? So now those beliefs are created within us as a result of everything that we surround ourselves with, whether it's information, people, everything that we learn up to that point in our lives. Having said that, and, and I feel like I'm going broad, but when you have a true belief, that is your truth.
Mm.
So when you're mentioning that, you know what, you've been treated really good by cops before and you've been mistreated by cops before, I wanted to ask, because every situation is different. I found in majority of cases, whatever you believe in, you hold yourself at the vibration that you will attract things in your life that match that belief. Whatever belief you have, you'll find all kinds of information and experiences
Absolutely.
that will make that even more of a reality. And sometimes people dedicate their entire energy and life to justify that belief. I'd rather be right than happy. So to what degree are we willing to go out of character, out of alignment of body, mind, and soul to stand for our beliefs?
You're absolutely right. You always find facts and figures and statistics and everything to back what you believe. I don't care what it is. It's on the internet. Whatever you want to believe, you will find the backing. You will find the articles. You'll find the memes. You'll find everything that backs what you want to believe. Right. So just really keep in mind that growth is in understanding the other point of view. That's where growth lives. You will always find your facts about anything.
I'm going to
But
write
that,
that down because this is
yeah,
good.
that is not where growth lives. We're far stronger and far more impactful with questions more than statements.
Mm,
If it wasn't your truth, ask a person, what was your experience where you grew up? That didn't exist where I grew up. Just because it didn't exist where I grew up, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just didn't
right.
happen where you grew up, right? I'll give you an example. I mean, one reason why I could see some of these issues very clearly is, back on the subject of race and all that stuff, is I was raised in Hawaii. So it gave me very different perspective of the world because I was raised kind of separate from it. I didn't face a lot of things that maybe my relatives faced, and I wasn't raised in those kinds of things. So I don't carry the weight of it, right? I don't carry the weight of those things. I was always the only black guy in school. you know,
Wow.
there'd be one or two, but it was always me that was the consistent one. So it doesn't make me uncomfortable to be around people of all kinds of races, right? It's because of my background. So I grew up where that's just normal. I really don't distinguish color. I don't look at the world through those lenses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have relatives that grew up in the South. They see the world very differently. Now, it's not for me to say the way you see the world is wrong because I have the perspective I had because my dad was wise enough to raise us in Hawaii. That gives me a totally different perspective. I just have a different perspective. And I had to learn their perspective instead of telling them they're wrong. I didn't have their experience. I had to learn their perspective and I've shared mine. So it's more of a share. This is a big point. It just came to me as I'm talking now. How about we share perspectives instead of
Mm.
share instead of shout them? I put my perspective on a plate and it's yours to eat if you want. I'm not shoving it in your face. I'm not forcing it down your throat. I'm sharing my experience and my perspective. Partake as you wish. And I
Mm.
think people are far less resistant when you share your perspective instead of forcing it. When you
Mm-hmm.
when you give me a platter of food, I can pick what I choose to pick. If I don't like that, I won't eat that. If I
Take
like
the
that,
onions out.
I'll pick that. Right? So just like perspectives, there's truth in it. Pick out the truth. You don't have to eat the whole platter. Just pick out what you like.
Yeah. Choose what empowers you. We go back to the same thing. Choose what empowers you. What is aligned with your true essence, with the
Yeah.
beautiful, loving version that you are. I believe, and you asked me that earlier in the conversation today. It's like, Veronica, do you believe that everybody? Well, no, actually, I had a different conversation with another friend. A lot of conversations. It was like, do you believe that everybody is capable of love? And I'm like, yes. It doesn't matter how people behave at their true core value. I believe that every person is beautiful and loving. Oftentimes we go through life and because of different beliefs, because of attacks and all this stuff, like there's layers of, for lack of a better word, of crap that we put on our shoulders.
Right.
But once you start taking those off, like, everybody's lovable and sweet and kind. How many times you see when you have like a common enemy or something, people come together. Every time there was a hurricane or some disaster happening,
Mhm.
people get closer than ever. They work together to conquer that time. So why wait for a disaster to happen for
Yes.
us to come together? Can we break this shield, this jail, this little box of personal subjective beliefs that we have? Invite everybody in and make a jambalaya of all the flavors instead of be like, no, I only like vegetables and the other person likes rice and the other person like, no, let's mix it all together and make magic out of it. Because we are one. We're
Mhm.
more alike than we're different. The
Yeah.
physicality,
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
subjective.
Yeah. And what matters in life? What matters? If we knew we had a week to live, we would look at the world very differently.
Hmm.
We would enjoy every conversation, every human being that we had the honor of knowing. We would engage in them so much. We
Yeah.
would know what matters. I had a friend that passed away, I think 2 years ago now. Dear friend of mine. And she made a YouTube video because she knew she was in her last weeks. And she made a YouTube video about what she was feeling. And I knew her as a very busy person. Her mind was just going all the time. Uh,
Hmm.
maybe not really fully present all the time, and just a real go-getter, real hustler, really busy girl. And she's making this video, and someone's interviewing her the way you are with me right now, right?
Yeah.
And she's talking, and she's so engaged, but she's so aware. And as she's talking, she looks forward and she goes, "Ah, a squirrel." Right? Like she was so present. She was just present to everything that was going on, and it was so not like her. Like the person I know with, I've never seen that squirrel. She's in the middle of talking, and she's like, a squirrel." Right? She was so present. And here's the thing: whatever would be important if we had a week to live is what's important.
Hmm.
That's what's important. We just would hone in on it because we know we have a week to live. You want to experience some things. You want to really embrace certain relationships, people that you love in your heart. that you had conflict with, you want that conflict to be gone. You just want to connect with that person once more. You would see the world very differently. So I ask you all to ask yourself that question. What would matter if I had a week to live?
Hmm.
All the things you come up with is what matters. And when you understand, when you know all this debate and all the arguments we're having about politics and all the craziness in the world right now, I promise you, wouldn't matter if you had a week to live.
Yeah,
You wouldn't want any of your time wasted on arguments like that.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, last words of wisdom. If you, and this is I don't want to call it a homework, I want to call it fun work. If you were to choose completely different beliefs that aligned with who you want to be as a person, not today, not tomorrow, but 10 years from now, right? I want you to compare yourself to the best version of yourself that you could be. So you're here, and in 10 years, you want to be over here. What beliefs do you want to acquire to be this person? How can you shift that perspective in your mind today so that person doesn't happen 10 years from now? It can happen as soon as today.
Yeah.
One of the biggest questions that I asked, I met Chip Wilson, the founder of Lululemon, and he autographed my book. And I said, if you were to give me advice, and that was several years ago, what would you say? I said, Veronica, whatever your purpose is, whatever you want to do in life, do that yesterday. I'm like, how does this guy know me? How does he know that? You know, because you have this like thought, like you said, your friend passed away, and it's like you don't know if you have a day to live, or a week, or 10 years, or 50 years. You don't know. So whatever you think you're going to do at some point in the future, that your life purpose is, do that yesterday. Find coaches, find mentors, find people that will help you get there faster, because today might be the last day that you have. You know, everything can completely shift in a split of a second. And we take our life for granted, but every day we live, we're getting closer to our departure. So why not choose to truly live? And I get passionate about this because I want to empower you to live your life the same way I live my life. Like, enjoy every moment. Allow the childlike innocence to come out. Play, have fun. Do whatever that is aligned with your purpose. Choose beliefs that empower you, that make you in that best version of yourself that you want to be 10 years from now.
With that, I have a poem that we can close on.
Please.
It goes like this. In the blink of an eye, each moment becomes the past. You see, nothing stays forever, only the memories last. A young woman, she dreams of her wedding day, but in a blink, the day is here, and then it's gone away. Our babies and toddlers, we watch them frolic and play, but in a blink, they grow up, and they're no longer this way. Now grown and on their own, in the blink of an eye. Sometimes we all wonder, when did the years pass by? In the blink of an eye, our elders are gone. Suddenly it's upon us to pick up and carry on. In the blink of an eye, we are young no more. So ask yourself this one question: what am I waiting for? Live a life that's inspired. Don't let it end with regret. Find your purpose and your passion when this world won't soon forget. The time is now. You've got one life to live, so spread your wings and fly. For this ride, it may be over in the blink of an eye.
Wow. Wow. That this sums up our conversation better than anything else. And I've heard this poem of yours, I think, when we met. You were speaking at the book launching party,
Mhm.
and it just, I was speechless because it took me back to that time when you spoke those words, resonated with me so much. Because at that point in life, like I was hustling, I was doing this and this and this and
Mhm.
that. And you had such presence, like you got in front of everybody and you just went quiet. And everybody stopped. You could hear a pin drop. And then you shared this poem. And it got everybody to start thinking like, is everything that I'm doing today aligned with my mission, my purpose, with who I am as a person, with the legacy that I want to be remembered by? Because at a blink of an eye, everything can be gone.
Mhm.
And what, there's a question that a friend of mine asked me. Every day that goes by, ask yourself, if you were to live today, what would you want people to write on your tombstone?
Mhm. Mhm.
And to me, that was like, I never even thought about that. Like my tombstone, like that's so far away. And I realized it isn't. So I empower you to choose beliefs that align with with the message that you want to be written on your tombstone. And I want to end with this. Thank you, Rodney. Your presence has been nothing short of a blessing. I I am so grateful. This is the best birthday gift. I'm losing my words. For those of you who resonate with this message, like, share, subscribe, and let us know how we can guide you, inspire you to choose beliefs that empower you on your journey. Because I truly believe there is magic within all of us.
Absolutely.
And our job as leaders is to notice, to see that in you and help you see yourself through our eyes because you are beautiful. You matter. You are amazing beyond beliefs. I had amazing people in my life tell me that over the years until I finally believed that. And we want to be the same guide for you because you are powerful beyond means. And it's 222 at the clock. So there's confirmation from the guides, which is the sign of a complete new beginning. So let's start today to live the best rest of our lives. Thank you.
Mhm.
Bye bye.